All right, and let's go live here. We are now live. Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to the channel. My name is Adley Telfort. I am the creator of the course Stock Trading Simple Beginner Guide, now available on Udemy. I am also the author of the book Better Thinking Habits, the Introduction Edition, which is now available on Amazon in ebook and paperback. Both links to my course on Udemy as well as to the book that I have available on Amazon is in the descriptions below. These live videos are part of a package deal that you get when you register for my class on Udemy. In these live streams, we're going to be picking stocks, reviewing the previous stock picks, as well as answering any questions you may have in regards to stocks that you're interested in trading. As of right now, my live streams are scheduled Monday through Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's date is June 24th, 2025. As usual, we are going to go ahead and get started with going over to investing.com and going over to our economic calendar. And here we are going to look at what's going to happen tomorrow. For those of you who are streaming in for the first time, how we typically, or if you're watching this after the live stream, what we typically do is we come in, we do our live stream at 7:30, and we're looking at stocks that we want to purchase tomorrow. So we're going to look at what's happening tomorrow as far as any kind of news or anything like that, or any reports that's going to be released by the government. Here we have the Fed chair that's going to be testifying tomorrow at 10 o'clock. He did speak today. I guess this is a continuation of his testimonial. Now, there are members of the Fed, which are, you can call them the governors. They actually indicated that for July, they are looking or expecting to be able to do a rate cut. And that's also one of the reasons why the market went up as well today. News that's also going to be released is new home sales for the month of May. That's going to be released at 10 o'clock, and that's a 3-star as well. And the other 3-star that we have at 10:30 is going to be crude oil inventory, seeing how much inventory there is in oil. So these are the three things right now that's going to be released pretty early on in the day. That's going to have a huge impact on the market. And after that, we really don't have anything else that's coming out that's really going to be impactful to the market. Now, anyone that tells you that you can trade stocks solely off of technical analysis, which is basically looking at stock numbers or anything else like that, some people have been successful doing that, but it's very difficult to do that, especially with today's administration and what's going on in the economy. So I would tell you that you'll need to have a combination of both uh, fundamental analysis, which is like what we're doing here, looking at the news, see what's happening in the market. As you know, so we had a peace treaty a ceasefire that was actually signed between Israel and Iran, and somehow last night, they fired at each other, and the markets were kind of wobbly in the morning, did not know necessarily what they wanted to do. But when we saw that the situation just didn't escalate, and later on in the afternoon, we had another ceasefire agreement reached, the markets closed higher. So you have to be aware of what's happening in the market, and you also have to be aware of what's going on as far as what economic news is going to be released by the government. These are all things that we kind of cover in my course that's available on Udemy, because this is a part of it, how you start your day. Now, the second part of the screen that we always do, and it's going to be repetitive, like I said, is we're going to go over to FinViz. And when we go over to FinViz, this is our stock screener. We're going to be looking to filter through and find stocks that fit a particular criteria that we're looking at, right? And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over to FinViz. We're going to hit on screener. And both for FinViz as well as for investing.com, there's a free version and then there's the paid version. I have access to the paid version, and that's because for me, it's worth buying it because of the income that I make off of trading. Whereas as a beginner trader, it may not be worth you actually paying for the paid. You may not be worth for the paid version right now until you start having income coming in from your trades. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing this based off of a free account, as far as like I'm doing this just like a beginner trader who has a free account and is not able to pay the $40 a month, or is not willing to pay the $40 a month, to have access to the paid version. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here and we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to $20 to $50 price range. As a matter of fact, let's do $10 to $50 price range, and let's go ahead and erase that. I know I cover this every time we do a live stream, but pay attention to this number right here. We have 10,161 stocks that's totally available as of right now before we even started filtering anything. Now, once we've actually filtered that to our price range, which is going to be stocks between the price of $10 and $50, that drops down to 5,237 stocks. And then from here, we normally would go with an average of an average volume of over 2 million, meaning over 2 million shares of that a stock of a company stock is being sold on a daily basis on average. But when we're doing that, we're getting a small amount of stocks that are available to us, right? So let me show you the difference here. So we have over 2 million shares of stocks being sold on an average on a daily basis, right? And this is based off of how many days? Okay, I think this should be based off of like a 30-day. And then the next one that we're going to do is we're going to go over here to technical, and we're going to go to our average true range, and we're going to say we want stocks that move up or down an average of about $2. We talk about the average true range a lot in the course that's available on Udemy, because the average true range makes sure that you buy stocks that actually have movement, meaning that stock is either going to move up or down an average of $2. Because for those of you who have traded stock before or are self-taught, there are times when you may buy a stock and you're sitting on it for weeks, if not months at a time, and the stock barely moves. It moves maybe 10 cents or 25 cents up or down, and somebody's telling you, oh, it's a great stock. It may have been a great stock at a certain point, but the ATR is based off of a 14-day average. So it may have been a great stock 2-3 months ago and had a lot of movement, but as of right now, maybe a stock that only moves up or down about 25 cents or 50 cents a day. So you're really not getting that much movement. And this is why it's important that you have an ATR put in there. And you're looking for stocks with an average movement of $2 or higher. Okay. Now, when we do that, we come down to 42 stocks, right? And out of those 42 stocks, we have our health care stocks, which I normally tell you, and you hear me say this a lot, stay away from the healthcare stocks because it's kind of like HIMS. HIMS, it's a stock for which is this stock right over here, but it's not considered a healthcare stock. But there's healthcare stocks or biotech, and what happens is if the company comes out with a new medicine, a new treatment, or a new device, the stock is going to shoot through the roof. But any other time other than that, the stock is really staying flat, and you can't really. And if there's a lawsuit or a recall or something happens, with the stock for that healthcare company could just tank and drop. So until you're like somebody who wakes up in the morning, watches the news, and you're keeping up to date on what's going on with with the market or those stocks, I would recommend as a beginner trader that you stay away from healthcare stocks. Um, ETFs, I'm going to say that you stay away from those for right now because ETFs could be a bundle of a particular stocks from a particular sector or industry, and you may not, and you're not keeping up to date on what's happening with those. So that can affect you as well. So typically, if you go in here and you filter through and you get these out of here, out of those 42, and I'm going to use my pre-settings here, and I'm going to filter out the healthcare and the ETFs. So from 42 stocks, we've actually just dropped down to 15 stocks, right? And so this kind of lets you know, like, we don't have a big pool of stocks to pick through. But if we were to go back in here, and we already have the ETFs and the healthcare stocks filtered out, and we would have changed this number from, instead of over 2 million shares of a stock for that company being sold on average for a day, we say, well, we want to look at companies whose stock have sold an average of about $1 million or more stocks a day on average, right? And when we do that, does it change anything? Actually, no. It leaves us at 15 stocks. All right, so we're going to do this right here at 50, and then we'll come back and we'll change this from 50 to 100 to see if we need more stocks. So right now we have about 15 stocks that we're looking at here that we're going to go ahead and we're going to filter through. We're going to filter through those live, right? Now, with my setup, I typically have, well, not typically, but right now, if you can see my workstation, which you probably can, I have three screens set up. I have two 35-inch monitors, and I have my laptop in front of me, right? So I typically be working off of two screens where I can have this window open as well as my trading views chart open. But I'm going to work on it like I'm a beginner and I only have one. I only have my laptop or my desktop in front of me. I don't have the dual screen setups because I'm a new trader and I don't want to invest in buying all that right now. Or I'm unable to invest in buying all that right now. So we'll do it like we're doing it off of one screen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back over here to the screensaver. And when we go to our screensaver, we're going to go over to technical and we're going to go ahead and we're going to filter it by ATR, right? Because what we want to do is if we have we're trading like we have a $500 account balance. So we want to buy a stock that's going to give us the most potential return for our investment because it's got a lot of movement going on in there, meaning the stock can go up or down by this number right here, by the ATR number. So we want to start off with the highest number and then we want to work our way down, right, to the lowest one, which this one only goes up or down on average about $2.10. So the first one was going to be VOYG. All right, and we went over this one yesterday. I'm going to take that one off of the, okay, so that's going to be VOYG right here. And when we pull that up on TradingView and we look at that, there's not enough history here, right? So because there's not enough history here, we're not even going to bother looking at that one and try to analyze that. Then we have DFDV. Okay, so the next one would be DFDV. All right, right over here. We're going to click on that one. And over here, we're on a daily time frame, right? We see that the market is closed at, which is the red, closed at $19.63. Post market, it's gone up to $19.70. Now, am I even going to bother looking at this one? I can say, okay, well, I can see that it's clearly in an uptrend, right? It's clearly in an uptrend. Green lines on top, pointing straight up. Red lines at the bottom, but it's also pointing up. And your red line is, and it closed over here. So what I'm looking for is an area of support and resistance. On our daily time frame, there's no support or area of support or resistance. It's the first time that the stock is really getting in this area because as you can see here, it's always been a really low price stock. If you look at it, it's always been between here and here, which is about 80 something cents, right? Okay, and so now what I want to do is I want to say, okay, well, if that's the case, uh, let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame. Is there any support and resistance? Well, there's an area of support that's right over here, meaning that stock typically is going to come here and then bounce back up, right? So this is an area of support, but this stock right here is really not truly tested for this area. So I'm not even going to bother looking at that. So I can automatically eliminate that stock. Next one is going to be HIMS. I am not going to even look at trading HIMS right now. And the reason for that is because I keep up on what's going on in the news. And right now, HIMS has a big drop because one of the companies, pharmaceutical companies, that was partnering with them canceled their partnership because they're selling like you could say like a generic brand. They're taking their partner's patented pill, and they're just trying to say we can customize it and we can add in a couple drops. And basically, if you add anything to a formula, basically it's no longer the same formula or patented. So the company canceled their partnership with HIMS, and because they canceled that partnership, and they announced it yesterday. Well, they announced it the other day. You can see the stock just practically tanked. I think they announced that on Thursday. I think it was yeah, well, this was Monday they announced it. So that's when the stock dropped. Okay, so you can see the stock dropped all the way down over here. And so there may be a little bit more fallout because other companies that are selling their products on HIMS, they may decide we don't want to deal with a company that's actually doing a generic version of our drugs. So I'm not even going to bother looking at that one, right? And it hasn't even hit rock bottom yet. So I'm thinking rock bottom is probably going to be somewhere down over here in the 20s, where you have this area of support, and that's on a 4-hour time frame. Well, let's look at it on the daily. Same thing, right around here, where it's around like 20 something dollars. So I'll wait for it to continue dropping. Uh, Even though we have a clear upward trend where the green line's on top and it's pointing up, the red line's at the bottom and it's pointing up. This is what I call a technical analyst, right? A technical analysis basically lets us know that the stock was in an upward trend. But the fundamental analysis, which is the news that came out, really affected the stock. So even though the stock originally was on an uptrend, and as you can see, it was keep going up, it hadn't even touched that area of resistance. But when the news came out, it really affected the stock, and that's why I say you have to have a combination of both technical analysis, where you're looking at the charts, and then you also have to be aware of the fundamental analysis, which is what's happening in the news and what people are saying about it, because it could have a big effect on the stock itself. All right, you cannot solely trade just off of charts and indicators alone, especially not in this market. So the next one that we're going to look at is going to be CEP. All right, let's take a look at that one. CEP. All right. I'm not going to go that much into detail like I did in my previous videos as far as talking about these. I'm going to identify the ones that we want to trade, and you know, I'll explain why we're going to trade it. If I see we're not going to trade, I'm just going to go touch on it really briefly, because I'm going to go through this live. I haven't even had a chance to really, in my previous videos, I already go through that list of our stock screeners, and I would pick out the stocks that we're going to trade, and then I already have that list, but I haven't had a chance to do it because we were so busy today at the office. So I'm doing this all live, so you guys can see how fast we can filter through the 15 stocks, right? And I'm talking, so that even takes up time. So this stock is typically in this price range, right? It's typically in this price range. This is why you see the support and resistance here. This is the first time it's up in this area. It's really not tested. You can even look at it on a 4-hour time frame. It's not a stock that I would trade because it's really the first time it's really gotten to this area, and it hasn't been up there long. It started in April, on April 23rd, and it's the first time it actually broke through this area of resistance and support, which is down here in around like the $10, $12 range, right? So I wouldn't even bother looking at that. New area hasn't really been tested in this area, and I can tell that when you go all the way back. You can see like it's never really been up here. So we're going to go ahead and go from there, so we don't have to look at that one. And then we have SMR. SMR. SMR, and we're going to look at this SMR. I think we already have this on our, no, we don't have this listed on our watch list. This is our watch list here. So SMR, okay. So this is what is this? This is manufacturing, okay, product manufacturing and electronic products. Okay, so here we can see that we are clearly in an uptrend. Green lines on top and it's heading up. Red lines at the bottom and it's also pointing up. I drew this one in earlier. I don't know why I don't have this one here. I thought it would be here. Okay, well, I actually drew this line in here. I know I drew this line in here like last week or yesterday. I might have drew the line in here, but we didn't add it to it because we were looking to see what happened. I don't remember exactly when we drew this line in here, but let's go ahead. So yeah, this line is something that I drew in here. But what happened is, once again, we're on a daily time frame. We don't see a clear support or resistance area where it broke through. So if you switch over to your 4-hour time frame, that's why I have this line drawn in here, because on our 4-hour time frame, here's our area of resistance. So the stock literally broke through it. The stock was going up, and it typically doesn't break down and go back below that area of resistance, but it did break below it, and now here it is, it went back above it, right? So we can expect the stock to continue rising up. So this would be a stock that I would probably go ahead, I'm not going to probably, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add this stock to our watch list. And now that it's added to my watch list, I'm going to put a green, let's put this as a yellow meaning tomorrow morning I need to go ahead and buy this stock. Okay, and when I buy it, I'm going to try to buy it as close as possible. So you see here, the green is, it closed at 43.25. That's the price it closed at. Post market, meaning after the market closed, the stock came back down to 22.44. So if I buy it, so tomorrow when the market opened up, it can go up a little bit in the pre-market, or it can stay here, or it can go down a little bit in the pre-market. My hope is that during the pre-market, it actually comes down a little bit, because if I buy it here at this price of 42.44 tomorrow, which is now it's 42.50, you can see it's going back up. My stop loss would have to be really right below here, which is the $36. So that means for every one stock that I buy, I have to be willing to put about $6 at risk. right? To say, hey, I buy one stock, I'm willing to lose $6 if it comes all the way down here. I don't necessarily have to put it right down here, but the stock could come down as low as here, but if it closes below here, that means we're going to be back down in the downward trend. But because I see that we're in a clear upward trend, and these indicators, which are the indicators are the things that you see here, as far as this graph over here, this graph here, and then the red line, the green line, your area of support and resistance. These are your indicators. We actually show you how to set all this up during the class on Udemy, so your charts will look exactly like my charts. All right. So I would say I'm going to buy this. I will buy this one particular stock. This is going to be a new high, right? Yes, it is a new high. If you look at it, let's look at it on the daily time frame. Is this a new high? Yeah, this is a new high. It hasn't been this high before. All right. Well, it has been as high as this, but it came back down and testing the area again. So I would sit there and say, okay, tomorrow I will buy this stock and I will ride it up to see how high it can go. Now, one of the things that we can do is this particular stock over here is if we look at this chart right here, and this is why I say I recommend using TradingView, is because if you stroll over here on this side and you look here and you stroll down, it will tell you right here, they're expecting this stock right now to be price targeted. Oh, wow, 33.20. So it's actually surpassed it, but there's been no new updates as far as, if they've changed the actual expected high price that they expect the stock to hit for the year. All right, let's take a look here. And now you have these little lightning symbols here. Let's click on that one. Let's see what they got. Any information, any news come out? No. Well, no new news has come out. The stock right now is doing pretty well. I would buy it. I would set a stop loss right below this area of resistance if to see if it comes back down. But that all depends on what happens tomorrow. If tomorrow it opens up and it's way up here, I'm just going to be like, you know what, it's not worth it. But if tomorrow it comes down a little bit closer to my area of resistance right over here, I'll buy it because I want to make sure I set my stop loss right over here. And for those of you who don't know what a stop loss is, it's basically I want to be able to buy the stock at a price right about here, right, maybe around 39. And basically, if the stock doesn't go up, but the stock starts to come back down, as soon as the stock hits this price point over here, which is like 36, then I can automatically cash out and say, okay, you know what? More than likely, if it comes back underneath this chart, then it's more than likely going to do a reverse, especially because this is a new untested area. Now, this stock right here would not be my number one pick, especially if I only have $500 in my account. This stock would probably be the last one I pick because there's a lot of variables. One, it's too high, it's too far away from my area of resistance, which is it's a good sign because that means it's pretty strong. It broke through it and it's pretty strong. That's one. But the other red flag for me is the fact that this is a new area right here and it's never really been this high. So I don't know where that area of resistance is going to be, where I should take my profit and sell it off. So the possibilities are endless for it to go up. But if I have a $500 account, I don't know if I want to take that chance. So out of all of the stocks, I would say, okay, this is one of the stocks I'll add to my watch list. But this stock would be, if I had to pick out of like 5 stocks, this would be the last out of the 5 that I would choose, right? So this is one stock that we added to our watch list. Now the other stocks that we have here is going to be CHYM. 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 Right over here. Once again, this stock doesn't have enough history, so it's something that the stock was just posted on the 12th of this month, so not even going to bother looking at that one. Next stock is going to be NNE. NNE is a stock that I'm currently in that trade, and it's actually on my watch list if you watched our previous videos. So not only is it on my watch list here, but I actually bought this stock at the price point of roughly about 37. I think it was 37.50. I bought this stock at the 37.50 price. So right now it's at 39.50. And tomorrow I expect it to continue rising. My take profit point right now, unless something drastic happens, is going to be around like $47, $46, right about in this area. And I expect that to hit probably before the end of the week, maybe before Friday. All right. but I will keep an eye on it. But as you can see, I do have an alert set here at 39.70, uh, because once it breaks through this area, I expect it to continue going up. But I've already got into this trade, and we talked about this. We've been looking at this particular stock since Thursday, and yesterday on Monday, I ended up getting into the stock. Okay, so this is one of the stocks that I'm trading right now. All right, now if you are going to buy this stock now, I would say you buy it and you set your stop loss right underneath this area, maybe around like 36.50. And the reason for that is because now that we've had a strong breakthrough, chances are very slim that it's going to come back down underneath this unless something major happens. Okay. And this stock right here, it's at 39.50, and the expected is, see, so 1 year price target right now. The price target for this one is 47.50. I didn't even look at that yet. I just, 47.50. So price target is right about here for the year. Okay, so that's what they're expecting it to be as far as the high. Okay, they're expecting this to be the high. So they're expecting it to hit this price point, and it's well up on its way there. So the next stock that we're going to look at is IONQ. IONQ, I believe that's one is also on my radar. Let me see, IONQ. Let's take a look. Let's open that up. Now that it's loaded, let's take a look here. I think that should be here as well. I was looking at that earlier. Okay, no, it's not here. Okay, so we're looking at it on the daily chart. And here we are. Once again, the reason I'm going to spend time looking at this one is because here we can see the green lines on top and it's pointing up, red lines at the bottom, and it's also pointing up. So we know that this one is in a clear upward trend, right? This is an area of resistance on our daily time frame. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to look over here at our 4-hour time frame. And on our 4-hour time frame, we can see that the red line is crossed over. It's on top, and the green line's at the bottom. And right now, post, we see it's at 40.39. It's only gone up a few cents. This stock right over here, only reason I would consider buying this stock, and I'm actually going to add it to our watch list, is because I'm going to see what happens tomorrow. Let's add that one over to our watch list. And boom, we're going to go here. And we're going to make this one yellow, because what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, before the market opens up during the pre-market, this can actually continue to go up, right? And if that is the case, then I'm going to buy that stock, because even if I bought it here at the $40.89, let's say $41, we have a chance to ride the wave all the way up to about $47 before it hits that area of resistance up there. And right here with our RSI, we can see that RSI is right above the 50, right? So as long as this RSI goes up and then it comes back down and hits that 50, it may go down underneath a little bit, but as long as it's above this area, that's also a clear indicator above the 50 on your RSI. That also lets you know that that stock is also going to be in an uptrend. So you can see from here, when it's in an uptrend, it's always been really staying above this middle line right here, which is the 50. And when it was in a downtrend, you can see that RSI was typically, it would come up to the 50, but it always kind of like really stayed underneath the 50. And here, right before we started going to the uptrend, you can see that the RSI kind of started like staying right above the 50. It didn't go any higher, but it didn't go back down underneath. So it kind of stayed right above it. And then finally, it kind of peaked up, and there it is. Now it's clearly above it, and it's going up and it's coming down. It's going up and bouncing and hitting the 50 and coming back up. So this right here, I'm going to take a look at it tomorrow and see what happens. If this is still above the 50 and this right here closes and the price goes up at least above the 42, I would buy it. And then I'll also look at it on a 4-hour time chart. And if on a 4-hour time chart, right now, this is what they call a dead cross, where the red line's on top and the green line's at the bottom. But this is what they call a false dead cross, because when the red line's on top and it's pointing down, then we know we're in a downtrend. And when the green line's at the bottom of the red line, but it's also pointing down, we know that it's going to be on a downtrend. But right now, your red line is pointing up and your green line is also pointing up, even though the red line's on top. So it's not really in a true downward trend like we would see something here. So over here, you can see we were really not in we're in a situation like this, right? Where the red line's on top, The green line's at the bottom, but the red line's pointing up. So we weren't really in a downtrend. When we got into the downtrend is really right around here where we can see the red line's at the top and it's pointing down. The green line's at the top, at the bottom of the red line and is pointing down. Now here we are in a clear downward trend. So we can see here that we're in a downward trend. So for this particular stock, I'm going to keep an eye on it. We've added to our watch list, and I'm going to see what happens with this on a 4-hour time frame. Now, the reason why I always look at the 4-hour time frame and I always look at the daily time frame is because with the 4-hour time frame, that lets us know ahead of time what's happening because these are closer time frames. So it's letting us know if this is like an early indicator to say, hey, the stock is going to start going down. And then you look at it, and then it tells you what's going to happen for the rest of the day. But right now, we're going to keep an eye on this one. But tomorrow, I would buy it if tomorrow during pre-market is at 42 and on our 4-hour time frame, the green line switches back over to where we see that we're going to be going back in a clear upward trend. Or over here on our RSI, we see that this is actually above the 50. And all of this we cover in our course on Udemy. For those of you who have not taken the course and don't understand, you may not understand what we're talking about, but you'll get access to these live videos and also be able to ask me questions once you've completed the course. But you really won't have that many questions because, not patting myself on the shoulder, but I did a pretty good job explaining it in the course that's listed on Udemy. Now let's look at the next stock that we have. The next stock that we have is ENPH. 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 All right, let's take a look here. This particular stock, what do we got going on here? This one, we're not even going to bother. This stock, we're not even going to bother looking at it. The reason for that is because when we look here on our daily time chart, you can clearly see we're in a downtrend. Red lines on top pointing down, green lines at the bottom, and that's also pointing down. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. This is my daughter. If I don't answer it, she will be, okay. She will be blowing up my phone. All right. And we're going to say, I'll call back. I'll call you back. All right. All right, cool. Now, so this one, we're not even going to bother looking at this particular stock over here because we can see that it's clearly the downtrend. So there's no need to even look at it. So let's close that one out. Now, what's the next stock that we have from our list that we picked earlier? NMAX, Newsmax. NMAX, I know this one from, because let's take a look here. NMAX, which is Newsmax. We're not going to actually look at that one or trade that one because, once again, not enough history. This particular stock over here got listed on the stock market, on the 31st of March. So there's not enough history for us to look at. So I wouldn't even bother trading that stock. So we can kind of filter through that. Next one is SMCI. SMCI, I believe I have that on my current watch list. Yes, here we go. We do already have that on my current watch list. And on this particular stock, we already have it on my watch list. I know that it's in an uptrend right over here, but right now it's kind of indecisive of what's going on. This stock is, what is this? Computer processing hardwares piece. What I'm waiting for is for it to cross over this area right here, which is this area of resistance. Once it crosses this line right here at the price point of roughly 47, I think it's 47.45. Yeah, 47.72. Once it crossed that price of 47.72 and it closes above that, that's why you see I have this yellow line here, which is an alert. Once it crosses above that, I know I'm going to buy the stock because from that point, it's going to be in a clear uptrend. And my take profit point, I expected to rise all the way up to about 65. Now for the year, let's see where they expect it to go up by the end of the year. Before the end of the year, there is a price target of $41. It's already beaten that price target of $41, right? So because it's already beat that price of $41, because right now it's at 42, what I'm going to sit there and I'm just watching it right now to see what happens. Once it hits this price point right up here and it closes above it, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to wait for it to go up. The other thing about it is I'm still confident that it's going to probably continue going up because once again, like we said in the other one on our RSI, which is this purple line over here, we can see that it's constantly above the 50 line. It's going up. It's coming to that middle line right over here, which is the 50 line. Okay, let's see. I'm going to enlarge this so you guys can see it. And then it bounces back up. Let's go ahead and enlarge this. So basically, this little line right over here is our 50. As you can see, this is the line. So what's happening is the stock is coming up and it's coming down. It's touching it right now. It went right above underneath it, but now it's pointing that it's going back up. So that's why I'm confident that, probably in the next couple of days, hopefully by next week, it's above that area and then I can buy it. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that one right there. That's why it's on our watch list. Last stock, no, we have three more stocks. MP, the MP stock. Let's take a look at this one. MP is going to be right over here. Let's take a look at this stock. Let's go here and let's see here. What do we got? All right. So here on this stock, give me 1 second, guys. All right. This particular stock, the MP stock, how would we look at this on a daily time frame? We can see that the stock broke through an area of resistance. It's actually it went up and it's coming down. But here we have the green lines on top clearly pointing up, red lines at the bottom clearly pointing up. But let's see how it looks on a 4-hour time frame. Is there any clear area of resistance? This is the area of resistance right over here, which is at 29.69. So if we buy that stock here, we have to be willing to set our price, our stop loss right over here about 29.34. So roughly meaning we're going to be putting about $5 at risk for every stock that we buy. Every stock of every one stock of these that we buy, we're willing to lose $5. Because this will be the lowest. Once it comes to this point, we will automatically sell the stock. It'll be our stop loss. But I would see what happens with this particular stock tomorrow, see how low it comes before I buy it, and probably wait for it to maybe touch this green line over here. But I'll keep an eye on this one, and I would also add this one to our watch list. So as you can see, not every single one of the stocks get added to our watch list because they may not fit the criteria that we're looking for. All right. And now we're going to go over to AAP. Let's take a look over here. AAP, Advanced Auto Parts. Advanced Auto Parts. Let's see what's going on with that one. So with this particular one over here with Advanced Auto Parts, we can see that I'm not going to trade it. The reason for that is because here we were in a clear uptrend where we're looking at it on okay, so let's look at it like this. So when you look at it on a daily time frame, you can see that we were in a clear uptrend, right? Green lines on top pointing straight up, red lines at the bottom pointing straight up. But we have this little curvature right here when it comes down to the green line. You can see that it's starting to kind of go flat, right? Now, when that happens, I'm not necessarily going to buy it right now because it just looks like it could be in the process of turning around, right? And then if you look at it on a 4-hour time frame, you can see that we were in a clear uptrend. And then like I said, the 4-hour time frame is like an early indicator as far as what's going to happen. And on a daily time frame, we see that it's clearly going up. Red lines at the bottom clearly pointing up. But then over here, you see that curvature where it's starting to go flat and now it's starting to point down. So this is letting me know that more than likely, we're going to be more than likely be in the process of doing what they call a dead cross, where the red line is going to cross over and be on top and the green line is going to cross over and be at the bottom. And then the stock is going to start coming down. So I'm not even about to looking at this particular stock, right? Next one is SNDK. 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 Okay. For this stock over here, we have let's look at it first on a daily time frame. On a daily time frame, what do we got here? On a daily time frame, we have the stock is pointing up. So we have the green lines on top, it's starting to point up, red lines at the bottom, and it's also pointing up. They just broke through an area of resistance over here at $43.95. Let's just roughly say $44. Stock current price is going to be $47.34. So you can buy this stock right now. You could buy this stock right now. Let's take a look at it on a 4-hour time frame before I confirm that. Well, yeah, it looks like you could buy this stock. If you do buy the stock at the price of $47.34, you've got to understand that you would set your stop loss right about here at about $43.50, meaning once it comes below this area of support, this area of resistance, Once it breaks through it, you want to sell it. Okay, once it breaks through it and closes below it, then you would want to sell it. All right, but you can buy it around here. Uh, but right now with this right here is showing that it's kind of like oversold. So you can also expect it to kind of come down a little bit and touch the 50 mark and then kind of then bounce back up if it's in an upward trend. So what I would recommend is tomorrow you look at it during the pre-market and see at 9:30 where the price is. The price can be higher, the price can be a little bit lower, and even if it starts to come down a little bit lower, it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't fall below that area of resistance. So even if it opened up here, and which it would be better if it opens up at like 45 or at 9:30, if the market opens up at like around 45 or something like that, then I would say, hey, you buy it, because if you buy it at 45 and right here you have a stop loss at about 43.50, you're only really putting like what, a dollar, what, $1.50. You're putting $1.50 at risk for every stock that you buy. You're willing to lose $1.50 in case it goes in the opposite direction and it starts to drop. Okay, so you'll always hear me talk about, buy point, your buy price, and setting your stop loss. And then if you do buy and it continues to go up, you can probably look at your take profit right around here in this area, about 54, 50, I'm about 56, 55. All right, so that's something that we're looking at. And this one over here, uh, what is the price? Okay, year price is going to be 53. So they see, look at that, and they're expecting it to go as high as 53, right up to this point right over here. And this number always changes. Just that, you have a bunch of people, banks, and a bunch of guys, and big institutions. They get together. They say, hey, you know what? We're expecting, year end price target would be about 53, meaning not by the end of the year, but it's just really saying we expect it to hit this price by the end of the year. And then the last one is going to be GTLB. GTLB. Let's go over here. GTLB. GTLB. Is that it? I think that was it. GTLB. Yeah. There we go. We're just a little bit slow. And I believe I do have this one on my watch list as well. Right? Oh, GT. Yeah, I did. I did have it on my watch list at one point in time. But not anymore. I think I'm just going to go ahead. Well, I do have it on there. I still do. So what happened here with this particular stock is we were able to clearly identify a low area, which is an area of support. The stock would typically come down to this area and then bounce back up. Right now, we can see on a daily time frame, red lines on the top, green lines at the bottom, green lines pointing down, red lines somewhat slightly pointing down. So we can expect that this stock is going to continue dropping, right? We can expect the stock to continue dropping because it is in a downtrend right now. And what I did right here was I marked it with this black line right here to line up with our area of support, which is the blue line. And I'm saying, okay, once it gets down to this point, we're going to see what happens if it's going to hit it and bounce back up. If it breaks through it, then we know it's basically going to be in a free fall. But the chances are more than likely it will hit this and maybe bounce back up, because as you can see, it came close to this area and now it's going in an upward movement. But still, we're in a clear downtrend because the red line's on top. So I'm not even going to bother looking at that or highlighting that, right? So we started this live at 7:30. I was able to go to our economic calendar, verify and see what's happening. I'm still going to trade because even though the Fed chair is going to be testifying in front of the Senate, because they've already kind of like set the tone when they testified it earlier. Today's just like a second part of it. They've already clarified that, hey, the mark, everything is as it is. Nothing major has happened. No major changes. He doesn't sound very negative about the economy. And then we were able to set up our stock screener. We set it up and we went from 10,000 stocks to about 15. And from there, we were able to go through our 15 stocks and pick the ones that we were interested in keeping an eye on or probably trading tomorrow. And that all took us about 45 minutes, because right now it's 8:15, 8:14. So roughly about 45 minutes, right? And that's with me talking and explaining things to you guys. Now, if I was not talking or explaining things to you guys or why I did what I did, I would be able to go through those 15 stocks right there within a period of about 15 to 20 minutes. And as if you took the course and you understand what you're looking at and what you're looking for, you'll see how easy it is to kind of not only screen your stocks, but also go through the chart and do what they call the technical analysis, which is look at the charts and break everything down. Now, for every stock that we've picked, right, I would say if every stock that you have here that you either had a green line to or a yellow line that you're interested in trading, the green ones are the ones that I'm already in the trades. I'm already in the trades for 1, 2, 3, 4 stocks. And these are stocks that I bought earlier today, right? These are 3 trades. These are the 4 trades I'm already in. The yellow ones are the ones I'm looking at and I'm saying maybe tomorrow morning or sometime tomorrow, I may be able to buy into them because they're at a very close price point. Now, I'll give you an example. This is one of the stocks that I'm in right now. I actually ended up buying this particular one on our daily time frame. Okay. I bought this one earlier here at about 21.64. Okay. The reason I bought this particular stock, it just broke through an area of resistance, which is right here on a daily time frame. Okay. It broke through that area of resistance. It's above it. We have the green lines on top, red lines at the bottom. Red lines pointing up, green lines pointing up. We're in an upward trend on our RSI. We can see that it just hit the 50 mark and now it's pointed up like it's going to bounce back up. And over here where you see this yellow line right here, this is my alert and this is also my area where I would do my stop loss. So as soon as the stock drops below here to about 20.75, I'm going to cash out. Now I bought it right here at about 21.63. I bought it right here about 21.60. I think it was 21.60 or 21.70. 21.70 I bought it. So if I sell over here at 20.79, that's just about $1 that I'm going to be losing, roughly 90 cents for each stock that I have, right? So I had put $500 into this particular trade, right? I put $5 into this particular trade. And the reason for that is because I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty confident that it's going to go back. It's going to go back up. It's going to continue going up, right? And this one also has an ATR of roughly about $2.64, meaning this stock goes up or down roughly about $2.64. So I'm going to keep an eye on it and see what happens in the morning. This is another stock that I purchased today. And this particular stock, I purchased this stock earlier today, and I purchased this one roughly about like around 79. I think it was like 79.50. 79.50. I purchased this stock. It had came down, it bounced, it basically hit that area of support, and it bounced back up and to go off that area of support. Right now, here's the thing. This one is one of the trades that I did. And the reason why I also did this particular trade as well is because as you can see here on our 4-hour time frame, you can see clearly like we're in a sideways trend where the stock is going up, hits the area of resistance up here, which is the red line, comes down to this area of support, and it kind of goes up and down and it's hitting this area right here. So here I'm kind of looking at it where we can see that the green line has just broken through. Let's emphasize that. You can see the green line is broken through. It's on top, red line's at the bottom, but yet they're both pointing down. But right now it's shown that we were in an uptrend. It did not clearly break through this area of support. But you do notice that I have this yellow line here, which that's 78.59, and I'm saying, hey, you know what? If the stock comes down to this point, then I want to go ahead and cash out and just take my losses if that is the case. So this one is a little bit more of a riskier trade, but that's just my way of doing it. Okay, even though we have it down here in a downtrend, I'm catching it at a low because for me, I've already identified this area as a low point. And the reason why I traded it is because you can tell when you're in a downtrend and the red lines on top, the green lines at the bottom, you notice the space between them, right? There's a lot, it continues to grow as it drops, right? But then all of a sudden you start to notice it's narrowing together here like it's about to do a reverse. And so when I see that as as a trader, I'm looking out like, well, I can get ahead of the game and do it. I wouldn't recommend that a beginner do something like this. It's just something where I have the funds, I'm able to put it at risk, but also I feel very confident the fact that it's touched this area 1, 2, basically 3 times. It's tested this area and this area is held strong. And I feel that the area is gonna bounce back up. Okay, but I did put my stop loss in place. The other trade that I have is going to be here, Oak. All right. I bought this one over here. I bought this one right here right at about I think it was like 350 or 345 right before the market closed. It the stock closed, the price closed above the area of support, against above the area of resistance. We have the green lines on top, it's pointing up. Red lines at the bottom is pointing up. It's showing that we are in an uptrend. So I bought it here because what's going to happen is when it closes above this area of resistance, tomorrow morning, a lot of other traders during the pre-market, they may end up looking at it and saying, wow, this is a great opportunity. And they're more than likely going to buy it. And tomorrow morning, this stock price could be up in about 64 or higher because they already see that it's broken through that area of resistance, and therefore the stock can start really going higher. So I got it early, and I talked about this in some of my other videos. Sometimes when you keep an eye on one of these stocks that may be on your watch list, and you've identified a clear area of resistance, you can wait till about 345, 350 right before the market's about to close, 10 or 15 minutes before the market closes. And if you see that the price is well above that area of resistance, then you try to buy it there. Because if you wait till the next day, even though the price might have closed here at 60, 70, tomorrow during the pre-market, by the time 9:30 happens during the pre-market, so many people bought it that by 9:30 you're paying like $65. So if you're buying it at 65, for example, and you have a stop loss all the way over here, like I have mine at 57, you're putting practically, what is it, $9 at risk for every single stock that you buy, and that could add up. So if you had 10 stocks, you just really put about $100 at risk, $90 at risk, for you know if the stock was to go in the opposite direction. So you try to get as close as possible to your area, to your stop loss as possible. And then the last stock that I have is NNE. And like I said, I bought this stock. I believe I bought this stock on Monday. I bought this stock on Monday, and right now I'm up about roughly about $100. Yeah, I'm up about $100, hundred something dollars on this particular stock over here. Okay, because I ended up buying it right here. Um, I think I bought like a 37.50 or 37.40, and now we're up here. And this is a stock that we've been talking about since last week. All right, and the reason I feel comfortable about it, green lines on top pointing up, red lines at the bottom is pointing up, and I have my stop loss right over here because I don't think it's going to come back and test it and go below that area of resistance again. Okay, and we can also look at here at our RSI. We can see that it's in an uptrend, and it can go to overbought, but I don't really focus on the overbought or oversold aspect of it. All right, so those are the stocks that I've picked for today, and I just did this live just so you guys can see how quickly we can kind of go through that list of stocks from our stock screener, and we were able to filter it through real quick after we filtered out the stocks that belong to healthcare and ETFs. Okay, which I wouldn't recommend that you trading as a new trader. Right? If you wanted to get more stocks, because this is not enough stocks as far as stocks to pick, you can actually adjust this and change the price point from 10 to 50 to, let's go from there, and let's just adjust that to $50 to $100. And by doing that, you'll end up with about 59 stocks that you can actually go through. And these stocks right here already filtered through and already have the healthcare and ETF stocks already filtered through. But as you can see, you have about 59 stocks that you can actually go through right there. Okay. I try to tell new traders, you want to keep your price point between 10 and 50. Try to find stocks within that price range because you buy more stocks, and the more stocks you buy with a high ATR, you can make a better bang. You can make better bang for your buck. Unlike if you try to buy a Tesla, you can buy one Tesla and it only moves about $18 a day. It moves up or down about $18 a day, but you only have one Tesla. So the max amount of money that you can make for the day would be $1. Where if you can buy a stock like a $25, let's say a $20 stock or $21 stock, and you can make that stock gets a $3 movement, but yet you can buy 23 of those stocks. So 23 times 3, you see the numbers right there really adding up. That's right there is going to be what, $69 that you can make for the day. So ATR is very important, and don't think just because it's a higher price stock, that means it's going to give you a better bang for your buck. Me personally, myself, Starbucks is one of the things that showed up on my radar when I did the 50 to 100 earlier today when I was trading, but I didn't even bother trading it because Starbucks, Walmart, Tesla, any of these big stock, Robinhood, these are stocks that are really public, that are traded by a lot of retail traders. It's a really well-known stock, like publicly well-known stock. And anything that happens in the news, whether it's a lawsuit or any kind of bad news or good news or whatever, could really affect those stocks because there's a lot of like institutions that are trading those stocks and a lot of retail traders. So I like to go after the stocks that are lesser known because it's not heavily influenced um, by the fundamental analysis, which is not really heavily affected by what's going on in the news because these are stocks that are not everyday household names. Right. So that's it for today's course, for today's live video. Like I said, if you enjoy these videos or you feel like you know you enjoy them, but you want to learn a little bit more, I would recommend that you take the course on Udemy. And this way, you have direct access to me for a guaranteed 6 months after you sign up for the course. You'll be able to message me, text me, call me, and also reach out to me on YouTube Live with any questions in regards to any stocks that you have. And when you're on our YouTube Live, if you want to interact, you can just send me a message, say, hey, what about this particular stock? I'll pull it up on the screen. We'll go over it in detail. And from there, you can see, I'll show you, okay, hey, this is what I think about the stock. I think it's a good price. Here's a good price point to buy. Here's a good price to buy. Here's where I would set my stop loss. And here where I would take my take profit. Or, you know what? It's not even it's not even something I would even bother looking at right now at this moment. Let's check it back in another week or two because of what's happening, okay, in the news. So anyone that tells you that, oh, they can set you up where they have an automated system, just a fraud warning. If anybody tells you they can set you up with an automated system that's going to give you everything that you need, tell you everything that you need with the stock trading, then they're absolutely wrong because there are two parts of trading stocks. I'm going to keep mentioning it. There's the fundamental analysis, which is what's happening in the news, what news release is happening, is the company being sued, is there something happening in like geopolitically happening that's going to affect that. And then you have your technical analysis, which is what we were looking at on TradingView, which is your charts and all of your indicators. And like I said before, in my course, I will actually show you how to set up your chart like this with all of the indicators, and I'll explain to you what the indicators are, how to read them, so this way you can filter through your stock screener, through the stocks that show up on your screener very quickly and easily. All right, you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining me in this class. You have a nice day.